Hey babes, welcome back. I hope you're all well. So in my last video, I talked about designer brands that don't do well on the resale market. If you haven't seen that video yet, I'll leave it in the description box down below. Definitely make sure to check it out. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. But I got a lot of questions about other brands and you guys asking me if I thought those specific brands did well on the resale market. So I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna do another video talking about designer brands that I personally believe do pretty well on the resale market. So if you own any items from any of these brands, then you know, you have a pretty good chance of making some of your money back, most of your money back when reselling these items. And yeah, if that's something that you're interested in, then I think you could find this video very helpful. So let me just stop rambling and let's go ahead and jump right into it. As always, I'm gonna be breezing through these. You guys know I hate a long and boring video. Also, I'm gonna get the obvious ones out of the way at the beginning. So let's start off with number one, which is Chanel. I'm sure most of you are already aware that Chanel does quite well on the resale market. That's for several reasons. Number one being that it's an extremely popular brand. People absolutely love Chanel. But number two is that it's not in everyone's reach, and by that I mean that not everyone can or wants to spend that kind of money on bags, shoes, or whatever else it is that they want to buy from the brand. So therefore I think a lot of people tend to look on the pre-loved market in hopes of finding a good deal on a Chanel item. Therefore, your items do pretty well if you resell them. Now, a lot of people will say that, you know, bags are investments, especially Chanel bags and things like that. I don't agree with that. If you want to invest your money, invest it into something other than bags or, you know, things like that, because I don't know, that's just my personal opinion. You never know, right? But let me just say, if you do come across an item that's a collector's piece, something that Chanel doesn't make anymore, and that's, you know, very popular, high in demand, then yes, there are times where you can make money on the item that you purchase, but that's not always the case, so definitely keep that in mind. Next up is Hermes, and again, I'm sure most of us are aware that Hermes does very well on the pre-loved market. So if you have any Hermes bags, vintage or not, or whatever the case may be, definitely hang on to them, because if you ever needed to sell them, or if you ever wanted to sell them, you definitely could, and you definitely could make some of your money back. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about Louis Vuitton, and like I said, I wanted to make this video short, but I have a lot to say about this one. So Louis Vuitton, in my opinion, is one of the best selling brands on the pre-loved market, just does incredibly well. I did spend some time in a boutique that does sell pre-loved designer items, and so I speak from a bit of personal experience. I've seen it for a while. People just really love Louis Vuitton, and sometimes they will even spend much more on an item than they would have if they would have just bought it new. So at this point, let me just tell you guys, do your research. If you are someone that likes to buy designer items on the pre-loved market and you're doing this because you want to save money, do your research. Sometimes these companies or whoever the heck is selling these pre-loved items, sometimes they will, you know, up the price because people will buy it without doing their research. So definitely make sure that that doesn't happen to you. I would be really mad if it happened to me. But another thing is that I think Louis Vuitton is a brand that everyone is familiar with. Even if you're someone that does not care about luxury items, if I was holding a YSL bag and if I was holding a Louis Vuitton bag and I showed them to a person that knows absolutely nothing about luxury items, I guarantee you they would know what the Louis Vuitton bag is versus the YSL. It's just such a popular brand. Everyone loves it. And I think therefore it just does so incredibly well. Now, not all of their items, you know, you could make most of your money back. Some don't resell that well. But my point is, if you have something from Louis Vuitton, you could definitely resell it and make some sort of money back because yeah, it just does well. No matter if it's a vintage item or a brand new item, an item that, you know, you currently can't find in the boutique. And that's another point. Like, I've seen people buy bags that, you know, Louis Vuitton has a waiting list for double the price. Why would you do that? Just wait. Sometimes you just have to be patient. Like, they're not gonna run away. You just have to wait a little bit and be patient. But I mean, if you have that kind of money to spend, then, you know, do you. But I just was so shocked sometimes seeing what people would spend, and all you have to do is call the boutique and be like, hey, I want to be on the waiting list, and they'll be like, okay, I can have a bag for you maybe in 3 weeks. But you didn't do that, and now you spend like $2,000 more than you would have if you would have bought it new. Anyways, my point is Louis Vuitton does really well on the pre-loved market. Next up is YSL. I got quite a few questions about YSL, and I personally have to say, some people might agree with me, some people might disagree, just my personal opinion, but I think that YSL is kind of in the middle. It doesn't do really bad, and it also doesn't do incredibly good, like let's say Louis Vuitton. So it's just like, it's hanging out in the middle there, it's chilling, it's doing okay on the pre-loved market. So if you have anything and you want to resell it, I think it would do pretty well, just depending on what it is. If it's like a super old bag, like super old, out of style, then you probably won't get much for it. But if it's a piece that's popular, or if it's a piece that it's like a classic kind of YSL item, then I think, it would do pretty well. I personally absolutely love YSL. That's one of my favorite brands. I think the aesthetic of their items is just everything, like everything. Love, love, love YSL, regardless of if it's shoes, bags. I just think they can do no wrong. And if you're someone that's very like classy and sophisticated and likes dressing that way, then I also think you probably like YSL. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite brands. And last, but certainly not least, is Balenciaga. Balenciaga, I personally believe, does pretty good on the pre-loved market as well. And I personally think that that is because it's super popular right now. We're seeing Balenciaga everywhere, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. Some of our favorite influencers are wearing a lot of Balenciaga, and I think that is one of the reasons. So I'm not sure how that's going to be in the future, but right now I definitely think it does pretty decent. So yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.